Reverb, the bright illusion. When I first started this gig, I seemed to always associate excitement with high frequencies. And I think that there's some truth to that, but what high frequencies? What is high end? And what I realized real quick was 20,000 hertz. Well, no one can really hear that anyway. Old people making awesome sounding records can barely hear over 14K, which is plenty. Anything over 10 starts getting into that just extra credit air type business. So anyway, I guess the big thing there is realizing that anything above 10 is just like this, like it's like almost fizz. It's almost like white noise. It's a nothing. So with reverb, it's very tempting to use absurd amounts of top end if you're new to this. And what you find is you can usually get away with knocking off a lot. And even if your vocal's in pretty good shape in terms of not having a lot of S's and sibilants and squeaks and all kinds of weird noises like I just had coming out of my mouth again, even when you have those things dealt with, the reverb itself can add all kinds of weird stuff. So I fired up the Cubase Roomworks, which is their stock reverb, and it ain't half bad. It has a filter on it, though, and by default, I think it starts at 5K or so. This is a low-pass filter. I'm knocking off the top end. And I was like, well, I wonder what happens if we turn the filter off. Well, we'll take a listen. And I got the reverb up pretty hot here, I think. So let's see. You hear all that it's just junk. It's just, I would say sizzle, but like in the worst way possible. For some reason, sizzle's a good thing. Probably because of the bacon connotations. Ooh, the bacon connotation. That's a good band name. Anyway, back to reality. Let's yank that down just a little bit. That is a very loud reverb. But as we talked about in a previous video, it's totally okay to crank up your reverb so you can hear all the bad stuff, deal with it, and then yank it down. Anyway, here we go. If anything for me is a red flag on cheapness, it's a reverb where all the S's are just sustaining for like 10 minutes. It's the every church I've ever seen or heard, or almost every local band type setting where you can hear obvious reverb has that S that just sounds like what you just heard there. I just hate that sound. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So what I'm going to do is start knocking this down. And again, this is just a low-pass filter. I'm going to play with it, and you can hear me pulling it down slowly. Now the thing to note is we're at 6K, and I'm not bored yet. If I was bored, it is a darker sound. It's easy to get seduced by this adulterous top end up here at 9 or 10K or whatever. But let's keep playing. I don't think our vocal supports this. Although if we really wanted a super airy reverb, which I'm not sure we do, this is another case for multiband compression on the insert of this EQ right before this EQ on the send. If done aggressively, we might be able to pull that off. Maybe. But anyway, the point of this video is more what we can get away with in terms of knocking off top end. I want to show you guys how dark we can go with reverbs and still get something pretty cool. Now, the only thing is I have to crank up levels as we knock more and more top end off. So right now we have our low-pass filter on at 500 hertz, which is going to give us nothing but probably junk. But let's go ahead and turn that up anyway. This should be kind of boxy and crappy. I'm going to turn it all the way up. It's actually a cool sound, but that sounds like it's only early reflections now. I'm not sure how this reverb works in terms of EQ and early reflections. Apparently this is just for the tail. That's okay. So let's start bringing that up. Okay, I don't hate that right there yet. I don't know if that's right, but I'm just we're experimenting here, and I'm trying to show you a few concepts. So I'm going to go with 2,359 hertz as our low-pass filter, and I'm going to just start blending that in and see if that's any good.
I saw your heart while you stole mine from me. I'm trapped in this misery while you're feeling free. I once knew a man, but I lost him to be with.
And again, it's leaving our early reflections alone. I don't see a way to turn down early reflections on this damn plug-in, which is I don't know why not, but somebody got lazy, it looks like to me. But anyway, I would like to be able to contain those too, but it's not a bad sound right there. It's not the sound I'm after though. It's too short of a tail. I want more, you know, and a little bit less of the other things. So really, what this boils down to, this EQ, is I'm EQing the tail so heavily that it becomes a balance between early reflections and the decay, which is not what I intended at all. I'm making this video. You're making me look stupid. All right, so let's keep playing here. I'm going to turn up the top end some more.
With a man I do not know, you've forgotten me. I saw your heart while you stole mine from me. I'm trapped in this misery while you're feeling free.
And that's not half bad either. And what we're starting to see is it was really ridiculous before when we heard it with you know, no filter at all, and it was just going nuts. And it was an exciting sound, but it was so over the top, it was just kind of distracting from the actual vocal. We don't want that. We're just trying to wrap the singer here in an aura of space. And by going that crazy, that's something that maybe we could do on like records by The Cure or bands that really just want to blow your head off. But for this, we got to respect the music a little bit. So let's keep playing.
I once knew a man, but I lost him to be with a man I do not know. You've forgotten me. I saw your heart while you stole mine from me. I'm trapped.
Another thing I forgot to mention was this thing has input filters. So we can go ahead and say, all right, let's knock off everything above 5K. Is there anything in this vocal that we need of a value that is worth sending to the reverb above that frequency? I don't know. So let's just go extreme with it. I'm going to yank 18 decibels off at 4.5K, and let's see what that does. That should solve all sibilance problems for sure.
I saw your heart while you stole mine from me. I'm trapped in this misery while you're feeling free.
I can tell you for sure one thing this allows us to do by nuking all the top end off the dry vocal coming into the reverb, it allows us to use more top end over here. So let's go crank that all the way back up and see what we get.
I saw your heart while you stole mine from me. I'm trapped in this misery while you're feeling free. I once knew a man, but
Oh, so the plot thickens. Suddenly, the balance between a bright, maybe too bright of a vocal and a bright reverb is shifting towards maybe we can have a really bright reverb if we knock the dull vocal down. So which one can we get away with more? Well, I always recommend dealing with your input filters first. I always look at this thing as a chemical change, and so before the chemical change, we should get everything ready. I don't know. That analogy never holds up, but for some reason, my brain likes it, so here we are. Okay, so we knocked off quite a bit of top end. I think that we still are a little bit, I hear some fizziness that's just not very useful. But we could probably go down to 10K and live with that, so let's see.
I saw your heart while you stole mine from me. I'm trapped in this misery while you're feeling free. I once knew a man, but I lost him to be with a man I do not know. You've forgotten me.
Okay, as far as I'm concerned, what we've really learned here is we have to be very careful with top end with a reverb. Now, we can kill that top end before the reverb, with either the plug-in itself or with another EQ plug-in as an insert right in front of it. We can kill that reverb top end within the reverb plug-in here, or we can probably knock it off after the fact. We have a lot of options, and how we deal with that is really dependent on our vocal. It's always safe to do it before the reverb, most likely, and then we can leave our reverb pretty bright because there's not a whole lot of high-frequency junk getting in there to cause a mess. On the other hand, we can just go with a dark reverb and not even touch our lead vocal. All of these are viable options and worth playing with, but just be careful with that top end when you're using reverb. All right, guys, thanks.